I rent my houses out after I rehab them. However, this one was in a pretty rough looking block, so I decided to sell it. Directly across the street, the local gangster Michael, he conducted his business. He was a drug dealer. You can tell when he spoke to other young men in the area that he was a respected leader. Now, for about a year, while rehabbing this house, I saw Michael. I never spoke a word. He was cool. He let me conduct my business. I knew to stay out of his way. The house was finished and I scheduled a showing for one summer afternoon. As usual, Michael was hanging with his fellows on the other side of the street. The potential buyer, Miss Jones, arrived with her real estate agent. The real estate agent's husband accompanied his wife. I waited at the sidewalk to greet my visitors as soon as I was going to shake hands with everybody. Another game banger at the corner of the block shot 2 times at Michael. Michael pulled out his gun and returned 2 rounds. Nobody was hit. The agents, Miss Jones and I, were not in the line of fire, and therefore we weren't in any danger. But nevertheless, I just said, "Oh, that's effed up." Normally, I never curse in business, yet this was an exception. The real estate agent asked Miss Jones if she really wanted to see the house. Miss Jones said, "Well, I'm here right now. I might as well see it." The agent stated, "Well, if you were my mother, I wouldn't even let you go into that house." "Well, I ain't your mother, so let's just go on and take a look." We enter the house. I stand in the corner in complete silence. I'm shocked. There's really no reason for me to say anything to the agent or to the buyer, and there's no way I'm going to sell this house. The gunfire has ruined the chances of me selling the house today. So I stayed in that corner saying nothing for a minute, 2, 3, 4 minutes. However, after 7 minutes, I recognized that Miss Jones was still there. Oh my goodness. She's interested in this house. After 10 minutes, Miss Jones and her agent began to speak with me. Now, it was difficult for Miss Jones to walk. She was older, had enlarged lower legs. Thus, they asked, "Well, will you install a handicap toilet?" "Sure, I'll do that." "It's going to be hard for her to enter the bathtub. Will you install bathtub grab handles?" "Well, I have to be careful to find the studs to properly install the handle, but yeah, I can do that for you." "We don't think you have enough kitchen cabinets. Can you install more kitchen cabinets?" Well, that was going to be a lot of work. We walked to the kitchen. I stated it was not easy, but I showed them where I could erect a new interior wall. I would have to install electrical inside the wall. However, after the wall was installed, I could double the amount of kitchen cabinets. "Well, can you pay 4 points towards a loan origination fees?" "Yeah, sure, I can do that." "Now, what about the price? We would like you to lower your price." "No, I can't do that." At this point, Miss Jones is annoyed. "Oh, well, let's just go with it." "Listen, I will do anything that you ask. However, I own other property in this area. If I lower the price, I would reduce the value of all of my real estate. Thus, lowering the price is not an option, but I will give you anything else that you want." Now, at that point, for the first time, the real estate agent husband spoke. "We're not sure that your home will appraise for the asking price. If the appraisal is less, the lending company will insist that you sell it at the lower appraised value. If you must sell it for less money because of a lower appraisal, will you still accommodate all of our requests?" "Sure, if the appraisal's less, that's not your problem. You still will get everything you want." I was so glad that husband asked that question. It sealed the deal, and Miss Jones purchased that house. I walked with Miss Jones and her agents to the sidewalk, shook hands, watched them drive away. As soon as they left, Gangster Michael crossed the street to confront me. Now, I had seen this gentleman for more than a year. We never spoke a word. And it was disconcerting that this gangster approached me, 30 minutes after he had shot at somebody. Well, I played it cool. I didn't say anything, but I gave him eye contact, and with my body language, I was saying to him very clearly, well, yes, sir, how can I help you? Yes, sir, how can I help you? I just saw you shoot somebody 30 minutes ago, but how can I help you, sir? Michael started speaking to me. Man, I'm really sorry about that. I see that you're here trying to sell a house. I don't want to mess you up. I was shocked at Michael's politeness. Well, yeah, that was kind of messed up, but I am impressed that you are such a gentleman to come and apologize. Thank you for being so considerate. Yeah, you saw what happened. That guy came and shot at me. I had to shoot back at him. You're right. He shot at you first and you defended yourself. You did not start that mess. Yeah, man, because I don't know anything about you. I don't know if you are the law or anything. Now, at that point, my inner thoughts were very clear. I'm just a guy who likes repairing houses. I have no street cred. I don't even pretend to be some tough guy from the hood, but I ain't stupid. Snitches get ditches. No, man, I'm not a police officer. You don't have to worry about that. I ain't going to say anything about this. Now, from then on, Michael and I spoke to each other just like good neighbors every time I had to visit the house. I had to come to the house several times before the actual sale consummated. Now, once he and his friends were erecting a basketball hoop on the street while I was trying to do some minor repairs, and I could tell they were having some problems, so I went and spoke to them. I said, Michael, you need a wrench. I got one in my van that you can use. I went, got the wrench, gave it to Michael, went in the house that I was working on, and by the time it was for me to leave, he wasn't finished. I said, Michael, just keep the wrench. It ain't that expensive. I will pick up another. Now, this is the way good neighbors treat each other. Now, some of you may think that Miss Jones was unwise to purchase a house in a rough neighborhood. Well, Miss Jones was very smart. The house had all new walls, floors, roofs, and siding. It looked great. And she knew that she could not buy any better quality house in her price range. And most importantly, Miss Jones knew how to work with her neighbors. She introduced herself to all her neighbors. She initiated contact with Michael. Son, come over here. I'm your new neighbor, Miss Jones. Introduce yourself. How you doing? Now, you must understand these gangsters are tough people. You don't want to mess with them. They're capable of being exceptionally unpleasant and violent if you disrespect them. But Michael had a mother, aunts, he had grandmothers. When Miss Jones initiated a friendship with him, it was natural for Michael to show love to Miss Jones, just like he showed love to older women in his life, his aunt, his mother, his grandmother. Michael and Miss Jones became very close. Whenever Miss Jones would come home, all of the young men in the area would stop whatever they were doing and greet her. Frequently, the neighborhood basketball game was postponed for 10 minutes while all the young men spoke to Miss Jones. Since it was difficult for her to walk, they would, of course, carry any groceries that she had to her house. One day, just before dusk, Miss Jones returned home and a young man offered to carry her bags inside. As soon as they got inside, he pulled a knife on her and demanded that she give him everything that she had. Well, I told you that Miss Jones was very smart. Oh, honey, you can put your knife away. I'm going to cooperate. He put the knife away, received her cash and jewelry. She told me that fortunately he did not notice the most expensive jewelry that she owned, that she was wearing at the time. He didn't notice that. So he didn't get her most expensive jewelry, but he got the other jewelry and the cash. Now, it was late, and Miss Jones decided to wait until the morning to report the crime. She left her house and walked to the street where her car was parked, but she did not get into her car. She did not drive her car to the police station to report the crime. She crossed the street and reported the crime to Michael. The kind, loving face that Miss Jones normally saw was replaced by an intense, scary anger of a serious man. But Michael was cool. He did not explode in anger. Michael the gangster became Michael the detective. Well, Miss Jones, how tall was this guy? Was he my height? Or was he taller like my friend over here? Was he dark skinned, medium complexion, or was he light skinned? Was he fat, skinny, average build? After asking his 20 questions, Michael concluded the interview. He described a particular symbol. Was he wearing a shirt that had this special type of symbol? Yes, he was. Okay, Miss Jones, we will look into this and get back to you. Later on that afternoon, Michael knocked on Miss Jones' door. But Michael was not alone. He had one of his friends with him. And between Michael and his friend was another gentleman. Michael was holding this gentleman by one arm, and his partner had the other arm. Miss Jones, is this the man who robbed you? Yeah, that's him. Okay, we got this. They took this pathetic SOB to the back of Miss Jones' house where they could enjoy some privacy. Now, Michael was a leader. He had gathered about 4 or 5 of his friends to assist. Once sufficiently secluded, they began to beat the crap out of this guy. Bam, biff, pow, fist, knees, kicks. No, it wasn't me. Stop. Oh, no, I didn't do it. Stop. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Stop. No. Oh, shut the hell up, fool. You wearing the same clothes that you were wearing when you robbed Miss Jones. Pow, biff, bam. Listen to me. Bam, biff, pow. You can tell that I was a kid in the 60s watching the Batman television show. Now, Miss Jones did not go outside. She did not witness the beating, but the brutality of the punishment was apparent by the sounds that she was hearing from the back of her house. This was such a fierce butt whooping that the original victim, Miss Jones, felt sorry for this robber. After only 1.5 minutes, Miss Jones opened her front door and spoke to Michael's girlfriend. Oh, honey, tell them they can stop whipping his behind. He's had enough. But this was a slight problem because the behavior adjustment had just lasted only 1.5 minutes. And it is a scientific fact established by YouTube videos that a sufficient beatdown takes an average of 3 minutes and 12 seconds. I know this. I watch a lot of YouTubes. I have measured it myself. I know a sufficient beatdown averaged 3 minutes and 12 seconds. They weren't even halfway there. So Michael and his boys weren't tired, and they were angry at this SOB who mistreated their beloved Miss Jones, and they wanted to give him more education. But out of respect for Miss Jones, they stopped whipping his behind. This story has a very clear ending. After 2 years, Miss Jones told me that she loved her little home in the ghetto. However, it was hard for her to manage since she was slightly crippled. Thus, she had to sell the house. Again, Miss Jones was smart. She sold that house for more money than she paid me. The story also has an end for Michael. He was on the same street and told his friends that he would be right back. He had to sell a few $1,000s of drugs to a repeat customer. But this time, the customer was with 2 other guys and had no intention of buying drugs. They attempted to rob Michael, but Michael was no punk, and he would not let anybody steal from him. Unfortunately, they had to jump on Michael. He pulled out his gun too late to protect himself. Michael was killed in a drug deal gone bad. I grew to respect Michael. I admired his love for Miss Jones. Rest in peace, Michael.